Since the release of Beyblade X in July of 2023, the community has seen a rapid evolution in strategy, product knowledge, and competitive meta. Many initial assumptions, often carried over from the Burst or Metal Fight eras, have been completely debunked by tournament data and extensive testing. And today we're jumping into the top 10 myths about Beyblade X that have been disproven from launch date all the way to present day. So let's get right to it. But before we continue on with this video, if you're wanting to get going with Beyblade X and don't know where to start, go check out malloftoys.com, sponsor of this channel. Mall of Toys is your #1 place to shop for anything Beyblade, from launchers to stadiums and to the latest releases of Beyblade X, including the pre-orders of the all-new Meteor Dragoon and even the Mummy's Curse random booster. Just make sure you guys use code LetSPinBeys2 at checkout to knock off 5% of that total cost of yours in the end. That is malloftoys.com. Now, none of these are in any particular order, but starting things off at number 10, we have the Hasbro is inferior myth. Now, the myth is that Hasbro's Beyblade X releases are lower quality, hollowed out, and inferior to Takara Tomi's Japanese release. The reality of it all is this was the massive fear carried over from the Beyblade Burst era, where Hasbro products were significantly different and often far worse. In Beyblade X, Hasbro and Takara Tomy beys are effectively one-on-one identical. The molds, the weights, and the material are the same due to them being manufactured in the same factories this time. The key difference between the two brands nowadays is Takara Tomy starters, for example, like the Drawn Sword starter, often include a superior winder launcher rather than the smaller prototype launcher found in some of the Hasbro equivalents, making the Takara Tomy versions arguably the better value in a lot of the regions. However, in the end, both products and both brands are of equal quality in all parts, making them both fully compatible with one another. Next up at number 9, we have the attack is the only meta myth. Now, the myth was set that because of the extreme line, that attack types will dominate the game 100% of the time, rendering stamina and defensive types as useless. Now, the reality of this, while attack types like Drawn Sword and Shark Edge were dominant early on, the meta quickly corrected itself, and stamina and defensive types are now the top tier competitive picks. Beys such as Wizard Rod, a stamina type, became so dominant that they centralized the entire meta around spin finish victories. Now, bladers soon learned that the heavy, well-balanced stamina beys can simply tank the hits or just simply avoid the extreme dash entirely, proving that a pure attack type is far from the only way to win. Current world dominating combos are almost exclusively stamina and defensive builds with Wizard Rod, Silver Wolf, Pegasus Blast, and many more. But the attack types are getting more love and more well-rounded parts, and beys such as Shark Scale and Hover Wyvern are completely balancing out the current state of the meta now. Now, in at number 8 in our top 10 biggest Beyblade X myths, we have the myth that the weight is everything myth. Now, the myth is, just like in previous generation, the heaviest Beyblade will always win. The reality, while weight is important, shape and weight distribution matter far more in Beyblade X due to the high speeds. A super heavy bey with poor balance, like Cobalt Dragoon in stock combo form, can deplete its own stamina and even self-KO on the extreme line due to the momentum. Lighter blades with smoother shapes such as Hell's Scythe can often outperform heavier, more jagged blades due to the fact that they could deflect attacks better and maintain stability after an extreme dash. More examples of this is the still highly dominant Wizard Rod blade, which is now considered to be a mid-weight, but its perfected weight distribution and the contact points make up for the lighter frame, making it fully capable of tanking hits and beating heavyweight combos such as Shark Scale, Pegasus Blast, Valkyrie Volt, Scorpio Spear, and so much more. Myth number 7, our 7th myth, is an older myth that was rapidly spread prior to the Beyblade X's official launch date, but effectively dominated platforms such as Reddit for months until the official release that was, and that is the cross-gen compatibility myth. The myth was that you could use Beyblade Burst launchers or mix parts with Beyblade Burst with the Beyblade X system. The reality of this was far from the truth. This was a common confusion at launch. Beyblade X uses a completely new 3-piece system: blade, ratchet, and bit. Now the blade interacts directly with the launcher prongs, meaning that the burst launchers are physically incompatible. Trying to force them on can often break the launcher prongs. This ecosystem is entirely self-contained to ensure that the safety and the function of the high-speed extreme line gimmick. No part from burst or metal fight or even the plastic generation is compatible whatsoever with the Beyblade X stuff, and this was quickly debunked the moment that Takara Tomy officially released the first look images of Beyblade X. Now coming in at number 6, we have the taller is better ratchet myth. The myth was that using taller ratchets such as the 480 or 380 provides better smash attacks or downward force. Now the reality is tournament data has overwhelming proof that the lower is almost always better. Example, 360, 560, 960, 160. Tall ratchets do raise the base center of gravity, making it more prone to tilting and losing stamina. More importantly, the taller profile exposes the ratchet and the opponent's blade, significantly increasing the risk of a burst finish or an over finish. High height ratchets are now widely considered a competitive disadvantage in most matchups. Now this is not to say that players should never use an 80 height ratchet. Top meta combos for Silver Wolf, for example, run the 980 ratchet and do outperform the 960 ratchet mirror combo almost every single time. Tall ratchets are finding more use in today's meta and in the competitive scene. However, statistically proven, the lower height ratchets are still dominating the entire competitive scene. Coming in at number 5, we have another early sided myth predating the Beyblade X launch, and that is the rubber bits are necessary myth. Now the myth was that Beyblade X needs rubber tips, much like Burst and Metal Fight, to be fast or competitive. Now the reality is the extreme line largely replaces the need of rubber due to the generated speed. When developers did test the softer materials or when fans speculated on the rubber bits, it became clear that the X line shreds the soft materials rapidly. Furthermore, standard plastic bits like the flat or the rush bit already achieve speeds of up to 15 to 20 miles per hour. Early speculation after the launch of Beyblade X offered that rubber bits would likely offer too much friction, killing the stamina instantly without adding any meaningful speed over the gear mechanic. But that's not to say that we did not receive any rubber tip bits. Takara Tomy released both the Rubber XL and the Merge bit, both featurizing rubberized tips. Now neither one has been dominant in the competitive scene and have both proven that the higher speeds of the Beyblade X cause the beys equipped with either one to generate insane friction that often killed the stamina before the opposing bey was even remotely close to losing its own spin. Next up at number 4 in our top 10 biggest Beyblade X myths, we have the Cobalt Dragoon is bad myth. Yes, this was an actual myth. Cobalt Dragoon was the first less spin bey, and the myth was that it was a failure due to its unbalanced weight and the ability to lose stamina quickly. Now the reality of this all is this myth lasted for a staggering 6 whole months after its initial release. It wasn't until September 2024 when the bey truly shined and became the best bey used in competitive play, even unto today with the release of Well Wave and the Elevate bit. Now, although Cobalt Dragoon is unbalanced, high-level players discovered that it excels in the anti-meta play. Its unbalanced nature allows for its aggressive movements, and because it spins left, it can spin still or spin equalize against any dominant right-spinning opponent. Now the slow motion burst phenomenon, where slow spinning counterclockwise beys burst a fast spinning right bey upon contact, turned Cobalt Dragoon into a high skill, top tier threat rather than a bad release, completely debunking this myth 6 months later. Now our number 3 myth in Beyblade X is the Hell's Scythe evolution myth. Now the myth is that every evolution of Hell's Scythe, aka Hell's Chain and Hell's Hammer and even Hell's Reaper, gets progressively worse. The reality of it is fans initially hated Hell's Chain and Hell's Hammer because they weren't Hell's Scythe 2.0. However, the myth that they are bad has been disproven by finding their specific niches. Now Hell's Chain excels for spin equalization and defense combinations due to its loose blades. However, Hell's Hammer is a force smash specialist that requires a specific tilt launch. Now they aren't worse, they just require more specialized setups than the jack of all trades Hell's Scythe. Now the same can be said about other Beyblade X family trees. Beyblade X does not do evolution, the common misconception from bladers transitioning from Burst to X. Rather, they do variants. Each member of the family tree specializes in a whole other field of play. The Drawn family is another example. Though Drawn Sword excels in attack and is also the jack of all trades for the Drawn family, meanwhile Drawn Dagger excels in stamina and counter attacks, and Drawn Buster maximizes the raw attack potential with no stamina in its reserves. Now at our number 2 spot on this list, and again this list is in no particular order, is the Fakes Are Just Cheap Alternatives myth. Now the myth was that buying a $3 fake Beyblade X product on AliExpress is fine, they are just plastic. Reality is that, unlike previous generations, fakes were poor quality but playable. In Beyblade X, tests have shown that fake metal parts often contain high levels of lead and cadmium, which are toxic. Furthermore, Beyblade X involves high-speed metal-on-metal collisions. Fake parts are prone to shattering explosively, posing a genuine safety hazard to the eyes and the face. Now, the community now strictly advises against them for the safety, not just the elitism. Now, contrary to this though, Beyblade X flame brands are becoming increasingly more popular for their looks and designs, and more bladers are purchasing them due to their affordability, especially the rare prize bays such as Valkyrie Volt, Arrow Pegasus, and even Cobalt Drake, although it is still highly controversial to use them in any type of battle, and is still highly advised to avoid purchasing any of the fake bays. Now our number 1 spot in the top 10 biggest Beyblade X myths is the worn bits are trash myth. Now the myth was that once the little gears or the tips of your bit wear down, the part becomes useless. Now the reality of this is the awakening mechanic disguised as wear. Many bits, specifically tapered and rush, actually perform far better after slight wear. A worn taper bit, for example, becomes far more aggressive and acts like a wider flat bit. Now while a worn point bit becomes slightly better for defense. Now as long as the height has not changed drastically and the gears still engage the rail system, these awakened parts are still tournament legal and often highly sought after by competitive players. However, with Takara and the WBO's own imposed rules, if the bit becomes drastically different, meaning completely worn down to the point where it does not act like its original intent, such as Rubber XL and Merge, which have both been proven to be top tier when worn down, but by that point they are officially illegal to use in officially ranked tournaments. So officially, a worn down bit is a top tier bit and still legally able to use in an official tournament. Just make sure you check in with the guidelines from both Takara and the WBO. If there is one overarching takeaway from the first almost 3 years of Beyblade X, it is that you cannot rely on legacy logic. Many of the myths, such as the Hasbro quality, rubber biz, weight supremacy, all stem from players assuming that what was true for the Beyblade Burst series or the Metal Fight series would also be true for the Beyblade X series. However, Beyblade X is fundamentally a different game engine based on extreme speed and gear interaction, rather than just raw friction or mass. There is still dozens of myths revolving around the 4th generation of Beyblade, but comment down below what myths have you guys come across that you have found to be easily debunked over the course of the past almost 3 whole years since Beyblade X's launch. As always, your thoughts and opinions are heard here on Less Than Beys. Now be sure you stay tuned for more Beyblade X content, including some more competitive combos for you to test out and even more combo reboot videos. Just make sure you have that subscribe button smashed and that bell notification turned on so you don't miss out on the next epic video. In the meantime, have yourselves a great morning, day, or night, and I'll catch you in the next video.